person has a kettle that needs 12 nuclear reactors?
This is no ordinary kettle. This appliance of science is a nuclear-powered, uranium-fueled man kettle. Switch on, stand back, and watch it boil. As a bonus, this coffee will stay hot for at least 20,000 years. Now, over to James May, who's trying to boil his with a windmill.
There are pluses, though. The new plant is likely to create up to 25,000 jobs in Somerset. We don't know whether they will be local jobs.
All right, prepare to bring number 2 reactor to critical. Commence insertion of the control rods.
Aye, I will, sir, when I finish with this here cider.
Not that we're stereotyping here.
I've got a brand new fast reactor and I'll give you the key.
Oh, we'll get complaints. But they'll take ages to get here on a tractor. The fact is, energy and the cost of energy has become the topic of the moment, and the government's response has been to raid the cliché cupboard. They said that if customers didn't like British Gas's increase of 9.2%, they should shop around for a new supplier. Perhaps N-Power?
10.4%.
Or maybe Scottish and Southern?
8.2%.
The competition thing doesn't work in this instance, and everyone knows it. Even John Major knows it. He wants a windfall tax on profits. Ed Miliband tweeted,
For John Major, makes Labour's argument.
well, it's about time someone did, Ed. Of course, that's not exactly what Major said. He said,
Hello. It is not entirely a bad idea to not entirely discount the not inconsiderably popular notion of some kind of windfall tax. I'm still here, by the way.
but the current Prime Minister had a much better idea. He said,
You know, I sympathise over this. I know what cold is like. I've been skiing and lost one of my gloves. It's a really terrible business.
and he suggested that everyone should put on an extra jumper, which is a top tip. And other top tips from number 10 for keeping warm this winter are, number 1,
Don't heat your second house when you're not in it.
number 2,
Get your butler to cuddle you.
and number 3.
Get Nick Clegg to sit in your hearth and then set light to him. This should be easy, as his pants are on fire already.
So there you are, the official tips to get through what the Daily Express will inevitably call an Arctic blast this winter. The people to worry about most, of course, are the elderly.
Hello again. I am not inconsiderably cold. Norma, put another copy of my autobiography on the fire.
But we only have to wait a decade for the Chinese and French to build us a nice new power station. In the meantime, the papers can argue about whether the nuclear deal with EDF was a good deal or not. Of course, there's only one person who can really answer that.
And now to find out whether you have a deal or no deal. It's time to open the box. Not that box.
Thank you very much. And now, with more of this week's headlines, here's Laura Shavin.
This week, a top cardiologist has dismissed the theory that saturated fats are the main cause of heart disease. However, other healthcare experts have disagreed, stating they can't believe it's not butter. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has called Barack Obama after becoming concerned that the US was tapping her mobile phone. She first became suspicious when the US president texted to congratulate her on reaching level 26 of Candy Crush. And finally, children who are overweight or obese should be encouraged to keep a food diary. Opponents have criticised the scheme, saying the last thing these children need is edible stationery.
Now it's time to stand up and be counted. And I've counted, and she's here. It's Sarah Pascoe.
Hello everyone, please excuse my bare chest, but I've got something important to say. I'm of course being facetious. I've been reading a lot this week about Femin, who are an activist group from the Ukraine. So last weekend they screened a documentary here about them and their methods of sextremism, which means that they show their breasts to make feminist points. So Femin, whose slogan is "This is my body and I want ownership," announced that they were introducing a British arm to their operations, which does make sense because we have a long history of successful protest and revolution here. Like when Boudica, she got rid of the Romans by whipping her dress off, and Florence Nightingale, she cut fatalities in hospitals by getting her wobblers out, and Margaret Thatcher, who before a big meeting, she just pop off her bra to make sure that they took her seriously. And I think that's my problem with this, that the issues women are protesting are serious, they're scary, and they're worthy of proper discussion. It's female genital mutilation, forced marriages, and sex trafficking. And my fear is that with extreme activism, it's too easy for the message to get buried or overlooked. It doesn't get listened to, it gets ignored. People assume that you're a nutter because you're behaving like a nutter. And I think also I just maybe feel that there is too much female nudity in general. So I think with charities it started with the PETA campaign, when they used to get supermodels to get naked to prove that they were anti-fur. And then there was that film, Calendar Girls, where older women got nude to protest the Gregorian division of time. And then more recently, this was a couple of months ago, the Fish Love campaign. So they want people to be more aware about overfishing in the oceans. So naturally, they got a lot of famous women to pose with nothing on but dead fish and crustaceans, which is a big waste of the resource they're trying to protect, I think. And also, I feel patronised. I think we're all being patronised because it's being assumed that we won't read anything unless it's written on or next to bared flesh. And then the other thing with Femin is that they are anti-burqa. They consider it, in their opinion, as a tool of suppression. Now, Muslim body coverings have been discussed a lot recently, as certain people have been arguing that facial coverings shouldn't be worn in certain public places, like courts and in schools. My favourite moment in that discussion came from Katie Price, the author. Now, in her newspaper column, which was, by the way, completely sensible and thoughtful,